what happens is pendulums, big energetic entities. They can be cities, it can be politics, religion, professional realms, education system, drugs and alcohol. It can be a family dynamic, everything essentially, and we're talking about negative pendulums here, everything essentially in this world that needs your energetic contribution to thrive and survive is a pendulum. So like if Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles, suddenly didn't have any people living there, and there were no people feeding it energetically, it wouldn't be a pendulum anymore. It's a pendulum because there's lots of people there, there's lots of energetic things happening, lots of people are tuned into that system as it's set up. And the pendulum of, let's say, a massive city like Los Angeles convinces us that there is a mode of operation. If you operate by the standards which the pendulum has set, you will see success. So like, let's take Hollywood, for example. The pendulum of, Los Angeles, Hollywood, movies, all that kind of thing, tells the person moving there, if you want to be a superstar, you need to look like this and act like this and be like this, and you need to do all these types of things. And if you do all these things well, you might get lucky and become the next Matthew McConaughey or, whoever. So a lot of
The
people
next Rene
adhere.
Garcia.
That's pretty funny. So if you adhere to all those standards and those laws, if you will, you might get lucky. But at the same time, lots of people don't see that success, right? So they give their energy to the pendulum. They give their thoughts, they give their actions, they give their energetic resources, they give their money, they give their time. Some people get it, and some people don't get it. Now, the reason that some people get it is because that thing was specifically intended for them. The reason that a lot of people don't get it is because they're going after a false dream of something that they saw, and they thought, "Oh, I want that thing," but they don't really want it. They just are convinced by the pendulum that they want it or they need this thing to be happy. So this is essentially what happened for me. I didn't go after Hollywood fame. I was going after something else. But at the end of the day, it wasn't for me. That's why I was feeling so broken and like vapid and not happy. Even though I was achieving some level of success, I was still like not, it wasn't in line with who I was as an individual. So there was no way that I was going to actually find success in this thing. So I woke up to that once I found transurfing. I was like, holy shit, that pendulum really had me, right? That pendulum really tricked me. That pendulum, I really fell for it. And I gave that pendulum everything. And that's why at the end, I felt so damn depleted and so broken, is because it kept asking for more and more and more. And I kept getting stuff like money and cool material things, but that wasn't actually what my soul or what the essence of who I was as an individual. That's not what I needed. What I needed wasn't going to be given to me by that pendulum. I actually had to separate from it and go somewhere else and find a new version of reality where I could actually extract the things that I actually needed. Money and all that kind of stuff came along with it, but really my soul started to be fed in a new way, and this is what I needed. So that was like the massive aha, was I had separated from the major, soul sucking pendulum of Los Angeles. The small one was, I had been dating this guy and I had moved in with him a few months before I found transurfing. Super low frequency, really negative thinker, really negative perspective on life. And I found transurfing, and I suddenly, my eyes were wide open and I saw so much in my life. I was like Neo in the Matrix, waking up to the reality, and my essence, my aura began to change. But we like to be with people that share a similar frequency and similar thought patterns. Otherwise, we get confused easily, and people typically don't like to be around others that are resonating at a different frequency. So my frequency began to elevate. I started to feel better about life. I started to think more positive things and see things in a new way. My rose-colored lenses went on, and he didn't like that. And he was constantly in a state of trying to get me to come back down to his level. And I acknowledged very quickly, oh shit, this pendulum is like needing me to stay connected to it in a way that isn't beneficial to me long term. So, I let it go on for a few more months, but then I realized that it was a pendulum, a negative pendulum that needed me connected to it in a specific way that was not going to benefit me. So I had to end the relationship. So people can be negative pendulums as well. It can be everything from, a one-on-one relationship to a lifestyle, a profession, the place you're living, big, huge pendulums like politics and media and social media and all that kind of stuff. So transurfing helps you to really start to decipher, is you being connected to that pendulum, whatever it is it helping you or is it hurting you? And then it helps you to like disconnect if obviously it's not serving your highest and best.
Yeah, and one of the things that also came to my mind as well is like, in order to defeat the pendulum, one of the things that Vadim mentioned is to empty yourself or rent yourself out. And
Yes.
so by emptying yourself and detaching from the certain, the thoughts that come with the pendulums and everything that comes with it, the energy that comes with it, by emptying yourself, you're able to listen to your heart. Or I think that's the Russell the Morning Stars. Is that correct?
Yeah, so,
So
when you're in an active state of being connected in a way where it's consuming you, right? Like you're talking about entering your workplace, you could feel that consumption happening where you get sucked into it and you kind of like lose who you are as an individual. You're like meditating, you're getting into you, you're feeling yourself, you're feeling what it is you want. You're thinking your thoughts. Your frequency is trying to climb to its higher and natural state. But then you go into work and suddenly it all comes down a bit, right? And you become like a cog in the machine. You become a piece in the matrix that like you still have your thoughts because you do have yourself and your meditation and obviously a higher state of awareness because you're listening and reading things like reality transurfing, but at the same time you're also a player in that matrix. So once you start to understand that and you can know when you're getting sucked in, you can perform certain practices like renting yourself out, which is an incredible tool. This is you just maintaining awareness of what the game is exactly so you don't get sucked in. So you can do both. You can like be a player in that matrix to the people that are seeing you. They still think that you're a player there, but your thoughts are your own and you're disconnected from it with awareness. When you're in this state, you can hear your own stuff more loudly than you're being influenced by the pendulum, the rustle of the morning stars. And the more you listen to what we call the rustle of the morning stars, your own internal dialogue, what the world's trying to tell you that isn't a pendulum, like ripping your face off metaphysically every day when you go to work. When you're in this active state of listening to yourself and to your world, then your world's going to tell you things like, hey, you can navigate this pendulum and extract from it what you need and keep yourself a certain distance away while not being overly influenced. Or it may tell you something like it's time to detach altogether, right? So it's about you like either having enough awareness to operate on your own accord or you losing your awareness and you essentially being like, I know it's a harsh statement, and I hate to say this because, you know, it does trigger people sometimes, but a lot of people are just puppets to the pendulums in their lives. They don't really have sovereignty. They're just kind of being toyed with and used, you know, and especially now with social media and politics and all that kind of stuff, those are all massive pendulums that don't give a shit about the individual that's tuned into it, and they're being played like a puppet. And when you see that and you take that back, right? You take back your sovereignty and you're like, wait a second, this thing doesn't actually give a shit about me, but it's getting a lot of my time and energy. Then once you take back that energy, then you can use that energy for your own benefit. And this is essentially the energy you use to transurf reality.